Y'all think too small, I got big dreams.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. We are PunFun. I'm Giuliano. I'm here with
Hey, my name is Ryan. Welcome to PunFun.
Ryan. Can you tell the people at home what they've missed in our previous episode? And before you do that, just a big spoiler warning for everyone. We are going to be talking about WandaVision episode 7, episode 8 today, and all the episodes before that. So if you haven't watched that show, make sure you check it out before you watch this episode of PunFun. Ryan, go ahead.
So previously on PunFun. So going back on our first episode, we explored the 7th episode of WandaVision. We see that she gets captured by Agatha. We also learned that it's been Agatha all along, who's been up and, really ruining Wanda's little perfect world. So, yep. And then
she kills Sparky too?
Exactly. So so by killing Sparky, that confirms John Wick. No, I mean that would be cool though.
John Wick 4, yeah.
John Wick, the MCU, or Sparky's Revenge. Was it Revenge of Sparky? Avenging Sparky. Anyways,
Sparky Avengers. Oh, that's so
exactly.
good.
Little dogs, little corgis and stuff. Anyways, so the kids get captured. We're going now into episode 8 of WandaVision. So in episode 8 of WandaVision, we see, Wanda within this dungeon type, room. We see that there's symbols all around the room, and she's trying to work her magic out of there, and that's where things gets real.
We saw
Agatha goes ahead and exposes, exactly what's going on. In this episode in particular, we kind of see the backstory. We see the backstory for not only Wanda, but we also see the backstory for Agatha.
This is episode 8, right? We're talking about the latest one.
Right, exactly. So we're now in the latest episode. So episode 8.
And episode 8, I just want to mention, just starts off brand new with the first time we've seen the Marvel intro in all of WandaVision. Right. So we got the Marvel intro, the one we're used to, Marvel Studios, and then boom, turns to purple, and we dive right into, like you were saying, Agatha's backstory. Talks about the Salem witch trials in the 1600s, and then her backstory with her mother and the spells, and then her killing the witches, and the whole thing.
Covenant and all that.
The Covenant. So we just kind of scroll past that just to see a little bit of where Agatha kind of came from, and we also understand that she looks pretty good for her age. And then we go into back to the ruins. What did she call it? The witch's ruins.
Witch's ruins.
The cave there where she is, where Agatha has her spell, the dark hold and the whole thing.
Oh right. It's kind of, I think she does mention it, but you're right. It's
anyway, her cave, her witch cave, not the man
dungeon
cave
type. Exactly.
Yeah, the witch cave.
Exactly. Anyway, so we do see that, and it's important that we did get to see her being on trial basically in Salem. So the witches themselves put her up on exile. We learned that she kind of gets into more powerful magic, or kind of studies
dark magic.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of how Doctor Strange goes beyond what he's told to learn.
Right.
Anyways, she gets put on trial. They try to put her on blast, literally, and no, she kind of flips it on them, absorbs their power, and then her mother, who is the head honcho of it all, also goes ahead and puts as much as she could, and she also ends up absorbing her, and that's where she gets the brooch from. So now we're in present time. We're in the dungeon with Wanda, with Agatha. Agatha goes ahead and reveals, Pietro is fake. It's not the one that we thought it was. And she was kind of worried that Wanda would see that it's not the Pietro that she knows.
She calls him Phaetro.
Exactly.
Fake Pietro.
Exactly. So it's the bootleg, it's on Canal Street, Pietro that we see. But yeah, it's at least what we see is that Agatha has a certain power, but she couldn't go beyond that. So even Pietro, she had to be at a certain distance in that song, Agatha All Along. We see that she's at a certain proximity to control him, or to, you know, for him to be her ears.
She's basically, because she's jealous of
ears and eye.
Of Wanda, that is able to control this whole area, right? This whole village, this all these people, and she's able to run all these all these visions and all these creations, you know, so far away, autonomously, exactly, without having to worry about it. And then she's basically, this whole thing sparked from jealousy, right? Agatha's thing.
Yeah, so that's how kind of we also get some insight on how Agatha knows about the hex, basically, or in this case, that hex. So she sees that there is a great amount of power that's exuding. So she goes in, she picks it up with her, I guess, witch sensors or power sensor or whatever it is.
Her Spidey tingle, her Peter tingle.
Exactly, her witchy tingle. And she basically comes in and explores what's going on. So her herself doesn't know what's happening around her. She's exploring through the episodes with us, the viewer, as well. When she finally grasps a few elements, and you know, talking about Pietro and all that, when Monica Rambeau mentions it, that's when she kind of goes, okay, let me see if I can go ahead and bring that in, that element, and kind of get more information. We have that Halloween episode, and you see Pietro, you know, asking all the time, oh, what's going on? What is all this? And even the backstory, she's trying to create those memories, but she knows it didn't happen. And Pietro, well, in this case, Agatha also knows it didn't happen, but she's trying to play her cards, try to play it, you know, smooth, and see if she will fill in those blanks as we go along.
Yeah, she's trying to understand what's going on. And so let's jump right into the breakdown of kind of the global aspect of the episode, which is mainly the original story of Wanda, how she got her powers, because this is a huge episode. Consider this. We basically were told, because we had no idea in the past in the MCU, how Wanda had her powers, or how her powers kind of developed. And so we're going to talk about that in this episode. We're going to talk about Vision, a lot about Vision, what's going on with the past Vision, how, you know, she reacted about Vision's death, and also let's save that for the end. A little surprise post-credit scene, post-credit communications, post-credit information. So let's
we'll white that out for now.
Okay, I can see what you did there. So let's jump right into the storyline. Basically, we explore through Agatha's forcing Wanda to explore these different memories of her life. We go through 3 memories, and they're kind of presented to us, days of Christmas past, present, and future, with the whole thing where you know. Scrooge McDuck. What's his name? Scrooge. I saw the Donald Duck version. That's the one that came up first. What's the name? Scrooge.
Just Scrooge.
Just Scrooge. See, I'm so caught up. Disney. You guys should give me a contract. Right?
Exactly. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Scrooge or Scrooge McDuck, whichever you've watched. It's basically we go and we kind of see her through her evolution of life and through the evolution of her powers. So the first scene is set where we walk through a door and we see Wanda as a kid, which is a regular family in Sokovia. You've got the father that's got bootleg DVDs, and there's war and happening and the whole thing. And
no, they seem like legit DVDs, actually.
Yeah,
I think that was the only thing that Disney didn't want to do. You know, how can they promote? Exactly, protect their the properties and be like, oh yeah, but we're supporting
original content and the whole thing. No, and so they're not bootleg, but they're obviously not permitted because they were hiding it and the whole thing during maybe that era of the country. Either way, they sit down, they watch. We basically understand that Wanda has this huge love for American TV sitcoms and a lot of that type of content.
And that's
so we understand
also where
the
they're learning
episodes came
English.
From.
Right.
Yeah, that is how they learn English as well. So we kind of get all of that together, and so also one thing about in the comics, Scarlet and Quicksilver's parents, the father is supposed to be Magneto, and so in this episode we kind of find out that it's not, or confirm that it's not.
No, it's yes and no. So through the whole time, I mean, from ever since for Scarlet and for Quicksilver, there's at least 4 different dads and 4 different moms. So this can be like their adoptive parents, or maybe even this timeline, this is their actual parents. We don't know yet. This is something that we're gonna see further down the line. Again, if you're born and you're given when you were like a couple weeks old or a couple days old, it could be
it could be adoptive parents. It could be, but that's it. So basically, we didn't get confirmation that it was Magneto, and we did not get confirmation it was Magneto as the father. Right, exactly. So like as you said in the books, they're born. We see the mother. She dies, and then there's a caretaker that takes them and brings them to this gypsy town type cult, and then gets circus. Yep. Yeah. And then right after that, you see basically the bomb goes off in the apartment, the house explodes, and then they're basically stuck looking at a bomb that. Anyway, Stark Industries, the whole thing, it all kind of loops up. But basically, we don't have an explanation as how Wanda got her powers. So, what happens in the next scene, Ryan, when Wanda, we kind of get a better understanding of kind of how she got her powers. Right. So, Wanda, so now we know that there's the bomb that happens and it comes into their home. It's about to blow up. It doesn't. We are to believe that it may be a lemon. And Wanda's convinced. You see her pull out her hand, and she's convinced that she's the one who's preventing it from exploding. So that kind of plays with her head. And just to be clear for the people out there, a lemon is not an actual lemon. The bomb, okay, it's just a bomb that doesn't work. Okay, I just wanted to clarify, defective bomb. I felt like there might have been confusion there. That's all. Exactly, it's not a giant lemon that fell into their homes. Exactly. When life gives you lemons. Exactly, blow it up. But yeah, and then we finally get to another door. So another thing with the doors, for therapy or therapists rather, they try to unlock as much doors from your past, try to understand what's going in, and the more you unlock, the more you allow them to get in. And I'm not going to go deep into it because I have no expertise in that whatsoever. However, every part of her past has been in a different room. So we do see her in a room. They open a door. It's another room. It's always been a room after a room. So they're still kind of within the house, or the theme of the house, if you will. So now we're in Sokovia. We have Hydra that's doing testing. They're looking for volunteers. She actually volunteers as part of a rebellion. Exactly. As a revolution to, see or be a part of their experiments, rather. So we have her in this room. It's a crazy scene. I think it's one of the craziest scenes for the show. She walks in. There's the scepter that we see with the Mind Stone built in. Loki's scepter. Right. And the assistant doctor, says, hey, or lab scientist, whatever, says, hey, everybody who went in kind of just perishes. But she's able to go in. She communicates with it, or she has an understanding or a bond with it. Finally, the Mind Stone, breaks free, and it embodies her or gives her powers or enhances her powers. So that's the fine line we don't know yet. We don't know if she had something that's already pre-existing and this just boosted up a million, or is it really just the Mind Stone that's giving her powers, kind of like Captain Marvel in this case. And so this is the first time in the MCU that we've had confirmation of either the origin or the provenance of the growth of the power of Wanda. So we didn't know where her powers came from, and now we kind of have some sort of confirmation that they come either fully or partially from the Mind Stone. So she is related to the Infinity Stones in a way, no matter what. Yeah. And it is important to say that the Mind Stone is also up in her boyfriend's head. So that's crazy to think that they had no connection whatsoever, and yet they were brought together, and they're both originating from the same power. Right. So it could be this whole thing could be a ruse by the Mind Stone itself. They have ways of putting things into play and to make things progress. So who knows? I mean, it's really cool and clever. That can also be how they have such a strong connection, because deep down, Wanda's attracted to that stone, and vice versa. They've had a first contact before. Just now, it actually has a body and vibranium and a mouth and exactly and $3 billion worth of vibranium. Billion. Yeah, billion exactly. and tough skin. No, but that is a crazy scene, and then right from that we jump into her into the Avengers compound. This is when kind of the whole story, the love story, started between her and Vision. So that that started. I don't think there's too much to say about that scene. You know, they're just bonding, but it's.
I just want to go back just one real quick thing. Yeah. Before we, so again, we see that presence of the Scarlet Witch, or at least the silhouette of the Scarlet Witch. We see her with the, her horns or her crown type thing, which also Agatha's mother had when she was going full. She did, like, full witch, and you should never go full witch.
That's true.
Exactly. So she also had these, like, horn type crown exuding. It kind of gets absorbed by Agatha, or maybe it leaves and finds somebody else to fulfill that, prophecy. And that's where where that transfer is. And Agatha is kind of feeling short, maybe there's a shortcoming, or, she didn't get what she was seeking, basically.
Well, because in the end, Agatha kind of reveals that Wanda is the Scarlet Witch. So she says this amount of uncontrollable power. And I'm just going to skip forward because, like, we don't want to go through the whole episode step by step, but it was just a really movementful episode. There's been a lot of things going on. But basically, skip forward a couple minutes later, we're back in Westview. Agatha has the kids kind of hooked by a leash or whatever you want to call it. They're basically kidnapped.
Yeah, and
No, I was just gonna say, and then boom, she reveals to Wanda, which this is probably the first time she hears it, that her powers are so immense that she is referred to as the Scarlet Witch. So she's been taken over by the Scarlet Witch power or essence, and Wanda didn't know, and so that's kind of the end of the episode.
Yeah. So and that's a perfect point. So when we do see the kids kind of tied up.
I mean, it was a good point. I didn't know it was a perfect. I really appreciate the compliment, right?
Exactly. We kind of see them, by ropes to the neck, but kind of like puppets. So she doesn't really hold them onto them. Exactly, and she's keeping them with this kind of like puppetry, finger action, jazz hand, thing going on.
Don't kidnap my kids, jazz hands. Woo!
Exactly. Hide your kids, hide your. But what's great is that they drop they do mention chaos magic. So she's saying, like, this is a grand amount of chaos magic. And again, chaos magic is all about unpredictable, being very powerful, very rare. So for not only Wanda to have this kind of chaos power, but also be a Nexus character, meaning that the timeline won't affect her as we go forward, and maybe with the multiverse. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get back to that in a second. Let's talk about that post-credit scene.
So, post-credit scene, if you haven't watched it and you kind of decided, oh, there probably isn't one and skipped over it, this is kind of an important one. Just this once, it's kind of important. So you want to break it to them, Ryan, or should I?
Go. Okay. The pleasure's all yours, man.
So Vision is back. So Vision, they tried to basically put him back together, right? Humpty Dumpty style. They put him back together. They brought him back. They tried to bring him back alive. And this is the director. I forgot his name from Sword, the director of Sword. The annoying guy. Hayward, yeah. The guy that's the annoying one. So basically, he tried to put him back together, tried every single possible source of energy, and he just took a bit of energy from an item that was crossed through the hex, and that basically revived Vision. So we now have a fully kind of white version of Vision that is now alive, that doesn't have a stone. It just has kind of some sort of LED touchlight. And then
exactly.
What do you call it, Ryan? What's the proper name for that Vision? It's Spectre. What is it?
So it's spectral. So he has different colors, different shapes. Not different shapes, sorry, different colors. So you have the green, yellow, and red, which we know here is the purple, and all those different variant colors. We have the red one where he's fully in red. You have the white, and the reason why the white is actually important, that it's the government that kind of reconstructs him, is because the original Vision, where he's in color, gets kind of decommissioned, and they make this they remove his memories, his emotions, and all his humanity, basically, and he becomes this white version, which is the spectral version of himself. Which
basically we're led to believe that he's not gonna recognize Wanda. He's not gonna. Basically, this is gonna be.
He could be the villain in this episode, in the next episode, actually.
Which is led by Hayward, which, in my head, has started becoming the villain of the series, and so
right. So, yeah.
He's been
pushing. Yeah. He's been pushing. Wanda, even when she came to see him in that scene where they're pulling him apart. Remember, these are like, he's mentioned it so many times that they've been rebuilding him and putting him back together. So probably when she said, "Oh, I want to go see him," she said, "You know what? Start taking a buzzsaw and start, going at his body to really get her amplified and get her, pissed off, if you will."
Yeah, which worked.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And then seeing him in that manner, all mangled. And we know that she doesn't take the body. She actually leaves the body, and she leaves and creates her own vision.
Which we thought she did originally when we saw the first video of her kind of storming into SWORD headquarters.
Right. But all that is a ruse. So there's a lot of, misdirections, a lot of red herrings. And she kind of creates her own. So she pushes. So anyways, at the end of the episode, before the end credit, she kind of goes to the house, recreates the home, builds this incredible, town now, based on her favorite sitcoms. And she also creates Vision. So we see her being red. You see Vision kind of being into the light. So I would think that's the Mind Stone that's really, pushing the boundaries and creating this being. What was cool, if we're going back into the Easter eggs and talking about building, is the episode of Malcolm in the Middle. You see him straight up trying to build a gazebo or like an extension to the house, but it collapsed. Well, that's what's happening. She's building something that looks, great, big, sturdy, but everything's collapsing on her right now. And that's Agatha's the wake-up call, kind of being like, hey, you've done enough. I want to know how'd you do it, but also like, we need to wrap this up.
We've only got commissioned for 10 episodes, so we can't go much further. And what do you think is gonna happen? Break it down in like a 2-minute rant of what do you think is gonna happen in the next episode and the season finale or the series finale. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, we kind of know what the whole mission cataract is. It's kind of like, well, obviously, cataracts, it kind of not blinds you, but as you progress, you lose sight, you lose your vision as you go forward. It gets kind of milky, and that's kind of how we see Vision's eyes when he was the zombie-esque, type of vision. It's all whited out. So it's all about pulling something, a fast one on him. What they're going to do, or maybe might want to do, is obviously militarize him, make him become a weapon. I know Hayward said, hey, he could become a weapon. We might as well bury him. But who wants to bury, $3 billion worth of vibranium? That can actually just be what he wants to do. He actually wants to weaponize him, get him going, and
he calls them he calls them a sentient weapon, basically,
Yeah, exactly. And by seeing WandaVision, seeing that she's able to bring him back and have him full-fleshed, if you will, they go in, send in the drone, which is from that time, so the 80s drone, so it wouldn't warp for that time, and bring it back. So this way there's no misdirections or warping of that item. That the hex or her energy is still on it. They find some way to extract that energy and now push it into or power this white or vision specter, basically spectral vision.
And so what can we expect in the next episode? I'm thinking personally that we're going to see a shift where we think Agatha is going to be the bad guy, and this is completely my perception, and it turns out she's not as bad as we thought. Then Hayward becomes the bad guy, and Vision becomes the sentient, which will fight, and then Hayward will become the actual brains behind Vision, controlling him. I think in the next episode we'll see the hex kind of drop down, and I expect to see more of Pietro and Rambo. That's personally what I expect to see in either the next episode or the one after that. But that's what I like in a quick bombshell. That's what I expect to see in the next episode. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Rambo's coming back in, so Photon is coming back in. For sure, you're also gonna have that shift, I think we kind of do see it already, because we do see Agatha is trying to figure out what's going on, but you can see she's also kind of helping Wanda to some sense explore, deeper thoughts and figure out kind of what's going on. Remember, Agatha in the books does kind of have a two-sided face, or just two-faced. Anyways, she does help Wanda in certain times.
Can we trust him?
Yeah, exactly. So we do see Agatha two-faced, and we don't know exactly which side she's leaning on, because in the comics she's been a villain. She's been also helping Wanda discover her powers, help her out, and you can see that Agatha went to school, had to learn all through this, and went through 400 years of still learning, and is not able to achieve what a rookie or somebody with just the talent was able to accomplish and do. Anyways, next episode we're going to see Photon, we're going to see Vision the White, kind of like the "you shall not pass" kind of dude. We're going to have regular Vision, we're going to have maybe Darcy maybe show some power or more exposition, and Wanda, I don't know if she's going to unlock her full potential, maybe get that little crown going, maybe we'll see Mephisto, maybe we won't. It's that's what's great about it, is that they're giving us enough for the night, but not enough to continue any of this
There's
stuff.
so many
What's
possibilities.
really cool is exactly, and all these like people that are doing videos on like theories and all that. Well, all of this just confirms, and if not annihilates, a lot of the work being done, which is fun, because in the same way, that's what it's all about. We're all trying to figure out and piece it all together, and yeah.
No, absolutely.
It's all about the hex.
It's all about it's all about the hex. I can't wait to see the next episode. I can't see the season finale. I can't wait to see the season finale. I can't wait to figure out what the end is going to be like and what that's going to lead to and connect to the MCU afterwards. So let's leave it at that. Let's meet up next week and check it out once more. Ryan, thanks for being here. Me, thank you for being here, because we decided to be here together. I don't know why I said that.
Exactly.
And then
reach out.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Like, this isn't your project,
Thanks for supporting it, by the way. We see the comments, we see your love. This is awesome. A little side note, I know we're getting a little off track here, but from the bottom of my heart, see you guys later.
Thank you, and from the bottom of my liver, thank you, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.